Did you know there is a secret war being waged in the heart of the underworld? A silent, spectral conflict that has been raging since the dawn of time. A war whose battles are fought in frequencies you cannot perceive and in landscapes you have been taught to forget. They told you the journey of the soul after death was a solitary one. A single file line of spirits waiting patiently for a peaceful judgment before a silent, solitary God. But that is the lie. The great, pacifying lie they told you to keep you from knowing the terrifying and glorious truth. The underworld is not a courtroom. It is a battlefield. And the god Anubis is not just a gentle, solemn guide. He is a divine general, a silent king of a spectral nation. This is the forbidden story of the army of the dead. The story of how Anubis, the master of the silent places, the opener of the ways, summons a legion of powerful, ancient guardian spirits to protect the soul of the righteous from the ravenous and chaotic forces of the cosmic dark. They did not want you to know this. They wanted you to believe that you face your final judgment alone, powerless and pleading. They did not want you to know that there is an army fighting for you, a spectral pact that runs at your side, its loyalty absolute and its power immense. And they certainly did not want you to know the secret of how to become one of its soldiers, how to earn your place in its hallowed ranks. This is not a myth about ghosts and demons. This is the story of the hidden, spiritual militia that guards the pathways of the soul and the forgotten, unbreakable pact that binds the living to the dead in a sacred and eternal war against the forces of dissolution. To understand this secret war, you must first unlearn the sanitized, simplified, and ultimately childish version of the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. They have painted it as a simple, linear progression, a hallway, a courtroom, and a heavenly paradise. But the true Duat of the ancient texts, of the coffin texts, of the Duat, is a vast, terrifying, and chaotic landscape. It is a dimension, or a series of 12 dimensions, one for each hour of the night, teeming with unimaginable dangers. There are rivers of fire, lakes of poison, gateways guarded by monstrous, knife-wielding demons with names like He Who Lives on Snakes and Blood Drinker from the Slaughterhouse. And there are the lost souls, the uninitiated, the ones who died in a state of terror, confusion, and rage. These are not just sad, wandering ghosts. They are hungry. They are desperate. They are vortices of psychic chaos, a spiritual static that seeks to feed on the light and the coherence of any ordered soul that passes by. And most terrifying of all, there is the great serpent, Apep, the embodiment of cosmic entropy, the black hole of consciousness, who lurks in the deepest darkness, seeking to devour not just the soul, but the sun itself. The journey of the soul is not a peaceful procession. It is a perilous infiltration deep into hostile territory. The soul of the deceased, especially that of a great king like Osiris, a soul that has lived in Maat, is not just a spirit. It is a vessel of immense light, a beacon of divine order. And in the profound darkness of the Duat, this light is like a brilliant flare in a starless, moonless night. It attracts the hungry. It attracts the chaotic. It attracts the serpent. A lone soul, no matter how righteous, no matter how pure its heart, would be overwhelmed. Its light would be shredded and consumed. And this is where the common understanding of Anubis, the gentle guide, falls completely and utterly apart. He is not just a psycho-pomp, a guide who points the way. That is the role of a scout. Anubis is a guardian, a divine special forces operator, a master of stealth, of the shadows, and of the secret paths. And he does not go on a mission of this cosmic importance alone. He brings his army. Who are the soldiers in this spectral army? The forbidden texts, the ones that were never carved on the public temple walls for the masses to see, refer to them by many names. The silent pack, the Hounds of the Necropolis, the jackal spirits of the western desert. They are not the souls of the righteous dead who have gone to the paradise of the field of reeds. They are something else entirely. They are a special class of spirits, a warrior caste, bound by a sacred and ancient pact. They are the souls of initiates, of priests and priestesses, of warriors and magicians, who, in their lifetime, made a conscious and willing choice of immense spiritual gravity. They chose not to ascend to the peaceful paradise of the field of reeds, not to merge with the eternal light of Osiris, but to remain in the liminal spaces, in the dangerous twilight of the Duat, as eternal guardians of the path. They are the spiritual equivalent of a soldier who forgoes a peaceful, blissful retirement to stand guard on a dangerous and war-torn border for all of eternity. This was a choice of immense sacrifice and of the most profound honor. To become one of the Hounds of Anubis was to surrender your own personal journey of salvation for the sake of the collective. It was to become a bodhisattva of the underworld, a warrior of the void, a guardian of the great cycle itself. And their king, their alpha, their divine and silent general, is Anubis. He is the one who summons them from the shadows, who organizes them into their spectral legions, who leads them into the silent battle. When a soul of great importance, a soul carrying a great and precious light, enters the Duat, Anubis does not just meet them at the gate. He dispatches his legions. They form a silent, protective, and invisible perimeter around the soul. They are the unseen honor guard, the spectral secret service who move through the shadows of the underworld, neutralizing threats before they can even manifest. They are the silent, growling presence that keeps the hungry, chaotic ghosts at bay. They are the disciplined and ferocious pack that can face the terrifying, knife-wielding demons of the gateways and force them to open, not through prayer, but through a show of superior spiritual force. And in the final, great battle, in the deepest hour of the night, they are the ones who throw themselves at the great serpent Apep, not to kill him, for that is impossible, but to distract him, to wound him, to become a living spiritual sacrifice that buys the precious seconds that the solar bark of Ra needs to pass by and for the soul of the deceased to reach the safety of the final hall. This is the secret that was hidden from you. They gave you a story of a personal and moral judgment. They hid from you the truth of a cosmic and military operation. They did not want you to know that the fate of a soul is not just a matter of its own virtue, but a matter of the strength, the skill, and the loyalty of the unseen army that is fighting for it. And they certainly did not want you to ask the most dangerous and empowering question of all. How do I join this army? How do I become one of the guardians? The evidence for this secret doctrine is not easy to find. It was a teaching reserved for the highest of initiates, for the priests of the Osirian and Anubian mysteries, for the warrior caste of the pharaohs. But the clues are there, scattered like bones in the desert, for those with the eyes to see. Modern archaeology has unearthed countless small clay and faience jackal figures in the tombs of not just pharaohs, but of nobles, of priests, of common people. They are often dismissed as simple amulets, as generic good luck charms for the afterlife. But what if they are not? What if they are the ancient equivalent of a military insignia, a legionary standard, a declaration of allegiance, a sacred symbol placed in the tomb to signal to the great general, Anubis, that the soul within was a member of his legion, a soldier who had served the cause of Maat in life and was now reporting for duty in death? What if every tomb was not just a house for the dead, but a military barracks for a sleeping soldier waiting for the call to arms? And what of the censored documents? The magical texts known as the coffin texts, the direct precursors to the more famous and more sanitized Book of the Dead, are filled with strange, aggressive, and powerful spells. Spells that are not prayers, but battle cries. The soul does not just plead for passage. It threatens the demons of the underworld. It declares its own power, its own authority, its own divine and untamable fierceness. One famous spell, Utterance 228, reads, "My message is sent out. I am prepared. I am the jackal of jackals. I am Anubis." This is not just a simple identification with a god. This is a password. It is the soul of the deceased identifying itself as one of the pack, as one of the soldiers, to the other guardians of the Duat. It is the equivalent of a soldier in a dark and chaotic war zone shouting the correct countersign to avoid being shot by his own side. It is a declaration of rank and of allegiance. And there is a strange and recurring image, found only in the most obscure of funerary papyri, the ones that were clearly designed for a spiritual elite, for the initiates of the inner mysteries. It is an image of the weighing of the heart, but with a disturbing and profound difference. Surrounding the great scale, in the shadows, are not the usual great gods of the Ennead. There are dozens, sometimes hundreds, of tiny, shadowy, jackal-headed figures. They are not participating in the judgment. They are standing guard. They are watching. They are an army, a silent and powerful legion, bearing witness and ensuring that the sacred process is not corrupted, that no external force can interfere with the sacred and final measurement. This is not the image of a peaceful and quiet courtroom. This is the image of a military tribunal, held in a fortified and heavily guarded command post in the heart of a war zone. And this leads us to the great and most profound hypothesis. What if this is not just an ancient belief? What if the army of the dead is real? What if the Duat is a real, energetic dimension, a parallel reality? And what if there really is a legion of guardian souls, bound by an ancient and sacred pact of service, who are actively, right now, engaged in a silent, unseen war to protect the consciousness of our world from the forces of chaos and dissolution? This would mean that the unseen world is not a place of peaceful, eternal rest, but a place of eternal, unwavering vigilance. And it would mean that some souls, the souls of the warrior, of the guardian, of the protector, have a destiny that is far greater and far more demanding than a simple, blissful paradise. What if your own ancestors, the ones in your lineage who had the heart of a warrior, are a part of this legion, that deep, unshakable feeling of being watched over, of being protected by an unseen force? What if that is not just a comforting fantasy? What if it is the literal, tactical presence of your own ancestral lineage standing guard over your soul from the other side of the veil? And what if you have a choice to make when your time comes? The path of Osiris, the path of the light heart, leads to a peaceful and blissful eternity in the field of reeds. But what if there is another path, a more difficult, but perhaps a more honorable one? The path of Anubis, the path of the warrior, the path of the one who chooses to stand on the great dark wall to guard the night so that other souls may sleep and dream in peace. This would mean that your life, here and now, is not just a test to see if you are good enough for heaven. It is also a training ground. It is an officer's school for the army of the dead. The great secret that was suppressed by the later, more dogmatic priesthoods was the secret of this choice. The Osirian priesthood, in their desire to create a single, unified, and controllable state religion for the masses, had to present a single, unified, and controllable vision of the afterlife. A simple, binary choice. The blissful paradise of the righteous or the terrifying dissolution of the wicked. It was a system that was easy to understand and easy to enforce through the powerful tools of fear and hope. But the older, more complex, and more dangerous wisdom, the wisdom that was reserved for the initiates, spoke of a third way, the way of the guardian. A path that was not about a final reward, but about a continuing responsibility. A path that was not about rest, but about eternal, sacred service. This knowledge was dangerous to the established order. It created an elite, a spiritual warrior class, whose ultimate loyalty was not to the living pharaoh on the throne of Egypt, but to the eternal, silent general of the dead, Anubis. It suggested that the greatest honor was not to be a king in this world, but to be a simple, loyal soldier in the next. And it revealed that the universe was not the safe and predictable kingdom that the state religion promised. It was a wild, dangerous, and eternally contested territory, a place that needed a standing army of fierce and dedicated protectors. This was a truth that could create panic, a truth that could undermine the very authority of the gods of the light, because it suggested that the light on its own was not enough. It needed a pack of silent, shadowy, and ferocious dogs of war to protect it from the all-consuming and eternal darkness. And so, the doctrine was hidden. The army of the dead was relegated to the realm of obscure magic and forbidden folklore. The choice was removed from the public consciousness. You were taught to be a good and gentle sheep, to hope for a peaceful and green pasture. You were never told that you had the power and the choice to be a sheepdog, to be the one who guards the flock from the wolves. And what are the consequences of this great forgetting? We live in a world that has lost its connection to its sacred dead. We see the afterlife as a distant, abstract concept, a place we go to, not a place we can actively serve. We have forgotten our ancestors, not as a collection of names on a family tree, but as a living, active, and powerful force. We have forgotten the great silent legion that is fighting for us in the unseen realms, and so we feel alone. We feel unprotected. We feel like we are facing the darkness of the world as isolated, fragile individuals with no backup, no allies, no pack. And we have lost our own inner warrior. We have been taught a spirituality of passivity, of surrender, of letting go in a way that implies helplessness. We have been taught that to be spiritual is to be harmless. But in a universe that contains a force as rapacious, as persistent, and as relentless as Apep, to be harmless is to be helpless. To be food, the suppression of the army of the dead was the suppression of your own sacred right to be dangerous. To be dangerous to the forces that would seek to devour your light, your life, and your soul. They wanted you to be a prayer. They did not want you to know that you could also be a sword. But the great and silent general has not forgotten his soldiers. The sacred pact is eternal. And now, in this age of great chaos, in this time when the veil between the worlds is thin and the roar of the serpent is louder than ever, the call to arms is going out. Anubis is recruiting. He is looking for the souls who have the heart of a warrior, the loyalty of a hound, and the courage to face the eternal night without flinching. He is looking for those who are no longer content to simply be saved, but who are ready to become the saviors. And the training ground is your life. The path to joining the army of the dead is not a path of death, but a path of how you choose to live, right here, right now. It begins with the decision to become a guardian in this world. You must awaken your own inner Anubis. You must become the master of your own inner underworld, the one who is not afraid of your own shadows, of your own darkness. This is the great and necessary work of shadow integration. A soldier who is afraid of his own darkness cannot fight the darkness of the world. Next, you must cultivate the sacred qualities of the pact: loyalty, courage, and an unshakable sense of duty. You must find your own pact in this life, your soul family, the ones you are sworn to protect. And you must defend them, not just with your words, but with your actions, with the ferocious and unapologetic love of a true guardian. You must become a protector of the innocent, a defender of the weak, a voice for the voiceless. You are no longer living just for your own personal evolution and your own personal peace. You are living in a state of sacred service to the whole. And you must learn to see. You must learn to smell. You must sharpen your instincts until they are a razor's edge. You must learn to smell the truth, to sense the presence of danger, to see through the illusions and the deceptions of the material world. This is the path of the jackal. It is the path of radical, instinctual awareness. You must learn to trust your gut, your primal knowing, above all else. This is your divine and supernatural tracking ability, and it is your greatest weapon. And finally, you must make a sacred pact with death. You must face your own mortality, not with fear, but with the calm and sober acceptance of a warrior. You must understand that death is not an end, but a transition to a new and greater field of service. To die without fear is the ultimate and final qualification for joining the Eternal Legion. This is not a path for everyone. It is a high and lonely path. It is a path of great and profound sacrifice, but it is a path of the most unimaginable honor. To know that when your time in this world is done, you will not just be judged, but you will be greeted by your general. To know that you will take your place in the silent, shadowy, and powerful ranks of the most elite and sacred army in all of creation. To know that for all of eternity, you will be a guardian of the light, a protector of souls, a warrior of the void. This is the secret destiny that was stolen from you, the choice to be more than just a soul that is saved, the choice to be a soldier that does the saving. So, is the story of the army of the dead a forgotten myth, a powerful metaphor for the protective power of our ancestors and our own inner warrior spirit? Or is it a literal description of a secret, spiritual legion, a sacred band of brothers and sisters who are, at this very moment, fighting a silent war for the very soul of our reality? Or is the most powerful truth that it is both, and that the choice to enlist in that army, through the way you live your life, through the courage you cultivate, and through the service you render, is the most important and most consequential decision you will ever make? Let us know what you believe in the comments below.